you mentioned the Denver Nuggets and firing Michael Malone. And that has somehow sparked rumors that Nikola Jokic may want to exit Denver and could somehow end up with the Lakers. But so anyway, before we get to that part, let's just address Michael Malone, I think 2 years ago, won the NBA title and has this team in title or playoff contention this year without really a number two to Nikola Jokic. How does he get fired? What is it? Maybe here's I do have a possible scenario there. They say that him and the general manager, Calvin Booth, couldn't stand each other, talked behind each other's back. And so sometimes ownership says, hey, I got a GM and a coach that can't get along. I'm not going to decide who's right and who's wrong here. I'm just going to move on from both of them. Maybe that's what happened here. Your thoughts?
Yeah, first of all, Jason, this is absolute idiocy, again, by ownership. But just as it relates to what happened to Michael Malone in particular, I mean, in sports and, I mean, in society in general, we seem to go a little too far, I think, with the way we're describing certain events that we're seeing in the moment. Saying this is shocking, unprecedented, I mean, it's really underselling it. This is tied for it's the latest that a coach has been fired in NBA history. And Hubie Brown, I believe, was fired at the same time with 3 games left. But Hubie Brown was like 31-48 when he was relieved of his position. Michael Malone is literally 2 years removed from winning an NBA championship. He's been there for 10 years, and his record overall it comes out to about 49 wins per season. So this guy's been winning 50 games a year on average for you. He just won the NBA championship last year. They've made the playoffs 6 years. And for him to be fired 3 games out is unequivocal madness on behalf of the ownership. Now, Calvin Booth, they needed to get his bum self removed from there. And it's probably 2 years too late on that front, Jason. Because the reason why the Nuggets have been failing, they were on a 4-game losing streak when they made the decision ultimately to let both go. The reason they've been failing is because the roster construction on this team is lousy, it's pathetic, and it's quite frankly embarrassing. A player like Nikola Jokic to have surrounded him with what he has been surrounded with now into his 10th season. Jason, he's going to be in his 11th year next year. He's turning 31 next year. And this is what this guy has to deal with. A historical, generational player. He's the on-court intangible, statistical output, etc., will have you believe that this guy is a top 10 all-time player, a fringe top 10er right now, probably matriculating in the direction of getting into that top 10. And he just simply has no help, no supporting cast at all. They have systematically let all of the players go, the veterans that helped them acquire that championship, players like Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, Jeff Green, Bruce Brown, all let go for Calvin Booth and these draft picks that he's made. He's trying to build a young team, and none of the draft picks are panning out. So that's pretty much been the infighting between him and Malone. Malone refuses to play these young players, and Booth is just doubled down on them, and the whole roster is imploding. Calvin Booth gave Jamal Murray a $210 million extension in the summer. That hasn't even triggered yet. This guy could barely play 50 games a year. He's hardly ever available in the playoffs, and they haven't even triggered that 4-year extension yet. That takes place this upcoming year. This is what Nikola Jokic is working with. And now this amateurish circus stunt by the Kroenke family to fire the only coach he has known, Nikola Jokic, 10 years in the league, 10 years with Michael Malone, 3 games out before the playoffs. It's unequivocal madness, like I said. And I am totally opposed to players demanding trades and the team movement and the roster stacking. Nikola Jokic has every right to demand a trade at the end of this season, which is probably going to end in the first round
For most of my adult life, I've struggled with my health, feeling sore and low energy. But Relief Factor, it's changed all that. I feel better, I move better, I think better. And here's the thing, it's only $20. You've got nothing to lose. In fact, about 70% of those who order Relief Factor go on to order more. Begin your journey, start your transformation, reclaim your life. Relief Factor.
Josh Kroenke, let me just before I turn it over to you, because yes, Calvin Booth, idiot. Jamal Murray, undeserving of the contract that he has, only because Calvin Booth was in his place. But ultimately, the king idiot, Jason, is Josh Kroenke. I want to give him a shout out. Josh Kroenke, this moron, president of basketball operations for the Nuggets. He's the son of Stan Kroenke and Ann Walton, who amassed, a major sports conglomerate. His father, Stan, and his mother, Ann, comes from the Walmart fortune. So we have this entitled, petulant little brat who has achieved nothing in his entire life, born with a silver spoon, gets given this job, Josh Kroenke, shout out to you, and has now destroyed the prime of a top 10 all-time NBA player in Nikola Jokic. If I were him, I would say this offseason, enough is enough. Move me now. I will never play. I've played my last game, whenever that is, probably, like I said, in the first round this year of the playoffs.
Scap, I'm not done with you. I'm just taking a moment. I got to take a cigarette break, a smoke that was so good that, I just have to take a moment to, I'm not taking a break, guys. I'm just, pretending to smoke a cigarette right now. That was really, really good. And so I have a follow-up to that. Okay, Calvin Booth, Michael Malone, who's responsible? Who wanted Russell Westbrook?
There's some background going on today that at heart of one of the feuds going on between the front office and coaching was involving Russell Westbrook's playing time. And quite frankly, Nikola Jokic, who has very little input in this on the inner workings of this team and on what the roster construction looks like. I saw an interview with him. He spoke with the press and addressed them after the game last night when they finally won a game and snapped that 4-game losing streak. And he was talking obviously about the Malone firing. And he said that he did know about it a little bit before everybody else, that Josh told him about it, but that there was no conversation, that he was told that we had made a decision and this is what the decision is. So Jokic, who has very little input on player personnel, and he really doesn't want that, Jason. Jokic looks at himself as like a worker. Like he basically, basketball is his profession. He plays on the court. That's that. But from what I understand, Nikola Jokic actually kind of spoke for Russell Westbrook in the offseason. He played a factor in going to the front office and kind of pitching that he wanted to bring Russell Westbrook on board. So that is probably one that the Russell Westbrook bullet probably is one that Nikola Jokic would have to take